Jeffers.
Here.
Call.
Here.
Mayor Mingus.
Here.
All present, Your Honor.
Please stand for the invocation. Remain standing for the pledge.
Shall we pray? Heavenly Father, thank you for this new day, this new month. We thankful we can meet tonight. We do thank you for the mild day we've had today. And as we deliberate over several issues on our agenda, and I pray for a good meeting, a good consideration of what all is before us. We do pray for our leaders at Springfield and Washington, D.C., and here locally as well, that we would represent and do our jobs as best of our ability. Thank you for those that are in the place to give us public safety, our police and fire. We thank you for the teachers and those that would support and educate our children and grandchildren. And Lord, we thank you for our community as we move into more so past this winter season, looking forward to spring. We again ask your blessing on this meeting this evening. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. We're honored tonight to have two Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts. Come on up, gentlemen, and lead us in the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very good. What troop you guys represent? 27. Good to have you here tonight. All right, approval of the minutes, please.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the minutes of the regular meeting and closed meeting executive session held on January 17th, 2017, special meeting held on January 31st, 2017, and special meeting for a working session held on January 31st, 2017, be approved as printed.
Second, please.
Second.
Commissioner Densberger. Discussion, roll call, please.
Commissioner Decker.
Aye.
Densberger.
Aye.
Jeffers.
Aye.
Call.
Aye.
Mayor Mingus.
Aye.
All present, voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. We're honored tonight to have Keith Summer, Representative Summer, 88th District. Step up and say a few words, Keith.
Thank you,
Please.
Mr. Mayor. First of all, congratulations to the young men who did the pledge tonight. That's fantastic. No special reason to be here, other just to visit occasionally and check in with the city of East Peoria. It's an honor for me to represent you in Springfield, along with Mike Eunice in the House and our colleagues in the Senate. And it's always a pleasure to see government that is in action that works. So
Thank you.
maybe I can learn something this evening and take it with me to Springfield.
Thank you so much
Thank
for all you do. We really appreciate it. Any other communication? Madam Clerk?
I have no other communications tonight, Your Honor.
Anybody in the audience want to speak to the council on an agenda item, please come forward. Don, good to see you tonight.
I have some questions about the waste management. And I noticed that when I read through this here, it says that they're wanting to do a contract for $51, but they had offered a contract at $48. Can somebody tell me what the terms was of the original $48 contract?
The term of the original 48 contract would have only been, that rate would have only been the last year. We're past that, so they've upped it to what it would have been, because it would have had an annual escalator on that rate. So it would have been up to $51 by now on that rate.
So the 2016 rate would have been 48 plus the escalator of what percentage?
I believe it was 3% was what was proposed, 3.5%, something like that. I don't have it in front of me, Don.
Okay, that would only take it up to 49, 44, 3% escalation. My concern is when I go through here and I do the numbers, that it says here that you don't want to pay this large catch-up fee. How many tons does the city take to the waste station?
It's like 8,000 tons on an annual basis. And
So-
the agreement calls for us not to have a catch-up fee at all.
Correct, so 8,000 tons is only $24,000 at $3 to catch up. And when I do the math, if you do it over the contract starting at 48 with a 3% escalator, it's only comes to 166, 480 over the contract. If you do it at the 51, the way this reads, over the same time period, it comes to 181,000, which is an extra $15,000. So I'm kind of questioning whether this is a good contract that the city should be making. It doesn't look like it's a very favorable.
We get the best rate that they offer anybody, any other community, according to
Well,
our
it may
hosting
be the
agreement.
best rate, but $48 would have been a better rate to have
So,
taken.
They're also taking our street sweepings for the first time,
Right,
which
and
they
that
weren't
was-
before.
Right, and I noticed it's 1,000 tons annually. Is that what we give them? Or do we give them more than that?
I believe that's what about we've been
Yeah,
averaging on an annual
I think that's
basis.
close.
So I also noticed here on this Exhibit A, what happens if you go over the 8,000 or the 1,000 tons? It doesn't say anything. It just says annually.
The rates, it's based off the tonnage rate, and those were just estimated tons that we would take to them on an annual basis.
It doesn't say estimated, it says annually. And it doesn't say,
It said anticipated volumes, what it says.
so even if we go over that, it's still the $51.
Correct.
So there was no option to take the 48 with the 3%?
There
Pay
is
the
not.
catch-up fee?
There is not.
So, well, it just doesn't look like a very good deal. Also looked at the water plant here. And when I looked at this here and I went over, and I know that we've asked this question about, you know, we've known this has been needed for quite some time. Why haven't we done anything about it? And it was said that we couldn't build capital in order to do this here. And now there's a page in here that says that we could have built capital, but nobody bothered to check it out. Is there some reason that nobody went to and asked those questions?
I believe it was an oversight, Don. I just found that out myself, actually.
There's a big oversight over a lot of years.
Well, here, just, and we can discuss later, we get into the measure, but I know in talking with Farnsworth, with Pat, and so forth, that even if you could work years and years in advance to stockpile millions of dollars, we can't get a tax levy increase very easily because it's considered overtaxing. And in principle, communities operate that way. They don't overtax people to take a lot of their tax dollars now to pay off something in 20 years or 15 or 10.
But
So
according to this, it doesn't say that. It says here that you can build, you can bank capital.
that is legally acceptable. However, there is a question of ethics as far as how we govern. The cost is going to be there whenever you build it. It's a question of how you want to govern and if you want to borrow it all at one time or spread an increase out over a period of years and have people pay. I mean, it's a philosophical question, but one that is one of balance. There was no intent to cloud the issue at all, but the intent was we did not want to begin collecting money until we had a plan and a timetable where we were headed to do this project. And we're
So-
at that point now. to do
So
that.
for 10 years, we haven't known we need to do this. And then when I talk to other cities and other entities, even regulated nonprofits, they go and they request the capital ahead of time in order to build so they can put these things in effect. And I said, my question is we're getting hit with this big rate charge. And you know, just on what I pay alone, my bill's gonna go up $317 a year over the time period. That's a lot to go up. And I said, we've known this for a while. We could have built capital. We could have taken a softer blow. You know, you got 12% poverty here. You've got 15% senior citizens. We're going to struggle with making these numbers, making these payments. You know, once again, the choice is, do you eat, do you buy medicine, or do you pay your water bill? So,
Don, I want to hold you for a minute to make sure, Dennis, is his interpretation of building capital accurate?
Yes, my understanding of what is happening here is that
There was an incorrect thought that one could not charge more fees than was necessary for routine maintenance and operation. In fact, we could have done that. And I'm guessing here, I don't know this for sure, where some confusion may arise is that if a taxing entity like the city of East Peoria would levy a tax as opposed to a fee, then that's subject to challenge. Historically, railroads would challenge any time that a municipality, for instance, would tax more than what was necessary in order to operate and have routine maintenance. In other words, to build up a reservoir of money. But you can do that, and we could have done that as it relates to the fee. Could have been done, it wasn't. There is a social, political judgment to be made as to whether or not you tax people in advance, in anticipation, or you do it when the need is apparent. There's also the proposition of not really knowing the scope or scale as to how much the project was going to cost. So the short answer is that we could have done it. The city did not do that, and had the city done that, people would have been paying more tax in prior years, which maybe was a good thing, maybe it wasn't a good thing, but that's where we are.
Well, sorry for the misinformation, though.
It would sure would have softened the blow if we had done what we should have over the past, 8 years. I said, this isn't the first time this has come up. We've known for a long time. And I said, there's going to be a lot of people out here that are going to have a hard time with this here.
And I heard that clear. Your 5 minutes is up.
So,
Clear message. Thank you very much, Don. Anybody else? Okay, consent agenda. Any disagreement on that? Hearing none, Commissioner Densberger, I will send over your way.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt a consent agenda consisting of items numbered 1 through 6 as listed on the agenda for this meeting to be considered by omnibus vote.
Second, please.
Second.
Commissioner Call. Discussion, roll call, please.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Densberger?
Aye.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
Aye.
Mayor Migas?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you very much.
In which case, Mr. Mayor, I move you that items numbered 1 through 6 listed on the consent agenda be hereby approved and adopted. The items numbered 2 through 6, having been read once by their title, and having laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection, be adopted as presented.
Second, please.
Second.
Commissioner Decker. Discussion, roll call, please.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Densberger?
Aye.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
Aye.
Mayor Migas?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you very much.
Shall I proceed, Your Honor?
Absolutely.
One change to my section of the agenda, resolution number 1617-112 will be pulled for future consideration. While I think there's a pretty unanimous feeling that Mr. Roberts is doing a good job, there's some detail to be worked out in the contract yet, so we will bring it back at a later time. Which leaves me, Your Honor, with resolution number 1617-115. Be it resolved by the Council of the City of East Peoria, Illinois, that resolution number 1617-115 hereto attached, a resolution to approve abating and eliminating various tax levies for water and sewer bond issues, tax increment financing bond issues, and development bond issues be approved, and that this resolution number 1617-115 be accepted on its first reading, is read by its title, and be laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection.
Second, please.
Second.
Commissioner Call.
Thank you, Commissioner. This is actually almost, it is an annual event. These bonds were basically sold as general obligation bonds, but they're intended to be paid by revenues generated through water and sewer and other enterprise activities, so that's what we're doing.
Other discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Densberger?
Aye.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
Aye.
Mayor Migas?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you
And that completes my session, sir.
very much, Commissioner Decker.
Thank you, Mayor. I have 2 items tonight. First of all, resolution number 1617-116, be it resolved by the Council, City of East Peoria, Illinois, the resolution number 1617-116 hereto attached, a resolution to approve agreement for engineering services with Midwest Engineering Associates for FEMA Hazard Mitigation Grant Project in Pinecrest Hills subdivision for landslide properties be approved, and that this resolution number 1617-116 be accepted on its first reading as read by its title, be laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection.
Second, please.
Second?
Commissioner Jeffers.
Thank you, Commissioner Jeffers. It is nice to start this project going, as you all know, years ago. I don't know how many years we are now out, 4 or 5 years. There is a landslide off of Caitlin Court and in the Pinecrest Hill subdivision. That landslide immediately affected 4 homes and then also ultimately affected 3 others. And through this process, those homeowners found relief through FEMA and IEMA, I believe. And what is in front of us tonight is authorizing the engineering services contract for mitigation of the property. It's not going to be an easy thing. Rob's in the audience tonight, and I think this is a project that not many engineering firms wanted to take on, if I'm not mistaken. I believe we only had 2 who even proposed bids. The other is from St. Louis, if I'm not correct. And along with the work, I'm sure they would have done a great job. There would have been quite a bit more travel and everything else. It's nice whenever we can have a local company, not only because the bid was a good bid, but this project is not going to be easy for the firm. There are a lot of potential pitfalls, and just happy that they're willing to take it on for us and get this project moving and bring some relief and closure to the neighborhood, not just the families that were affected, but the entire neighborhood.
Other discussion?
Your Honor, as I've done in the past, since my employer has a interest in some of these affected properties, I will be abstaining.
So noted, Commissioner Call.
Yeah, the only question I had, he alluded to the other firm. It wasn't included in the packet. Who was the other firm that submitted a statement of qualifications? Said they're out of St. Louis. I was just curious.
Yeah.
The other firm, I'm trying to think for sure what the name of it was. It was SC Engineering or something like that.
He knows.
SEI, yes.
Thank you.
Were we correct out of St. Louis?
St. Charles, Illinois, or St. Charles, Missouri.
Okay, thanks.
Other discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Densberger?
Abstain.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
Aye.
Mayor Mingus?
Aye.
4 ayes and 1 abstention, Your Honor.
Thank you very much.
Next, Mayor, I have resolution number 1617-118. Be it resolved by the Council of the City of East Peoria, Illinois, that resolution number 1617-118 hereto attached, a resolution adjusting the disposal fee payable by the city under the host community benefit agreement for Tazewell Transfer Station and Waste Management of Illinois Incorporated be approved, and that this resolution number 1617-118 be accepted on its first reading as read by its title, be laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection.
Second, please.
Second?
Commissioner Jeffers.
Thank you, Commissioner Jeffers. This actually, I think, was alluded to before the meeting in agenda items comment. This is what Don was talking about with this first item. This has been quite some time in the making. We've been in contract negotiations for quite a while. The final, I know I just had it in my mind, the final fee was $51 per ton. And that this goes through, is it 2018, Jeff, am I correct? 19?
It's a 5-year agreement.
5-year agreement with, it's through December 31st of 2020. This contract is only for the material that goes through the transfer station. There are a couple other parts that we still need to finish negotiating with them at a different time, but it's nice to get this behind us and move forward.
Other discussion, please.
Yeah, just, Mr. Norbert stood up here and had some comments. I'm not going to go into great detail, but some of the stuff included in the packet are some issues I've had concerns with, and I was told that some more information was going to be forthcoming on some concerns I had of previous contracts, and I stated then, and I'm going to state tonight, until I have that information to figure out what transpired and what we're doing moving forward, I wouldn't support another agreement. Now, second point is it states in there, had we put an agreement in place in December of 2015 for 16, it would have been at $48 a ton. So when Mr. Norbert's questioned the amount, 51, we were paying 45 in 2015. That's a difference of 13.3%. So I don't think it's a good deal. Just me personally, I'm not going to support it.
And you want more information.
I'd like more information, never did hear back.
Other discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Densberger?
Aye.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
No.
Mayor McGis?
Aye.
I have 4 ayes and 1 no, Your Honor.
Thank you very much.
That's all I have right now, Mayor.
We'll get that information. Commissioner Jeffers.
Mr. Mayor, I have 3 items tonight, and the first is, again, comments by Mr. Norberts earlier, but I'll read it and we'll have some discussion on it. Mr. Mayor, I move you that ordinance number 4323 hereto attached, an ordinance amending Title 7, Chapter 4, Section 6.1F of the East Peoria City Code for the purpose of increasing wastewater charges to the users of the city's combined water and sewer system, be accepted on its first reading as read by its title and be laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection.
Second, please.
Second.
Commissioner Decker.
Thank you, Commissioner Decker. We last made adjustments on our water and sewer rates. Steve, what was it, about 4 years ago?
5.
It's been 5 years ago. So we have made an attempt back 5 years ago not to fund specifically a wastewater plant rebuild, rebuild and reconstruction to our wastewater system, but it was an attempt to bring our revenue up to match what our expenses were just for day-to-day operations and for equipment, vehicles, et cetera. And so on the wastewater side, we did make some changes 5 years ago in anticipation that this was coming, because this project's has been worked on for many years. We've had multiple working sessions to talk about this, and we've had Farnsworth has been the common thread throughout, and Pat Sheridan's here tonight as well. We also, at the time, 5 years ago, streamlined our water rates that we charge, going from multiple rates down to, I think, 2 now is where we're at with the water rates, maybe 3. Is it 3? We had like 6 or 7. I mean, we had multiple rates for the big users, and we changed that to actually make it more friendly for the city as far as revenue and so forth, and make it more competitive for us. So the work's been done. Recently, Farnsworth completed their engineering review, which allowed them to make estimates of what this project would cost. And so we had ballpark figures before. We knew it was going to be in the tens of millions of dollars. When I spoke a year ago at Eggs and Issues State of the City presentation, I used these very, very similar numbers to what we're having here tonight. Now, what has changed and what isn't really clear in the out years of this proposal is the probability of EPA regulations that will govern the different levels of contaminants as they view them. That's fair, phosphates, et cetera. And so as time's gone on, we've got a clearer picture of what that costs through the experience of Farnsworth, and they've done multiple plant upgrades. That's their business, that's what they do. So we do have a good number now. We know what we need, having completed this engineering study. We had a peer review engineering review of Farnsworth's findings, and that came back very well. There was no conflict there. So we've tried to be very systematic in our approach. And at this point, in order to proceed, we need to approve not just the rate increases to pay for this, but also the following would be to approve the final leg of the engineering work that Farnsworth will complete to give us the drawings, et cetera, to go out for bid and complete this project. But you have to pay for it. And for us to have gone out, like I say, 5 years ago, we adjusted upwards our rates, which has helped build our reserves a bit. We're very much in the positive there. and it's allowed us to be in a position to move forward to this next phase, which will allow us to do the work. The timing also, as far as what we're doing, we have several bond issues that are coming off the books. One this year, which is over $300,000, nearly $400,000, which comes off of wastewater mortgage, if you will. So that is being paid off, so that money will be freed up to go into this new project. And I think the timing, for the timing we're choosing, this makes for a good time for us to do it, because we're dropping off one large payment, and we're in a position to front-load cash to qualify for the IEPA loans that will allow us to have a low interest rate to proceed on. This is all governed very tightly by regulation, the permit process, and it all must be done correctly. Pat, would you want to give us an overview? This would cover maybe several questions that maybe have come up, or you've had your experience, and if you could address it, then I'll continue then.
Thank you for having us. I'm not very comfortable talking about rates to a community, but I don't see anything occurring here that's unusual from what other communities are facing. I think your facilities have had good stewardship. Guys have done the best they can with what they have. They've made things run for long periods of time. We've been talking many years about different phases of upgrades, and so, like I talked the last time I was here, it's really a condition assessment issue that's driving the train here. There are EPA regulations in play. They're in flux, but they are coming. So it's prudent to design in anticipation of those. And then there's some capacity consideration here. I mean, if we're going to build something that's going to last the next 20 to 40 years, you want it to be able to address the future needs of the community. But it's a secondary driver. What we're after here is condition of your infrastructure, and no wastewater, no East Peoria. It's just a fundamental that has to occur. So we've done cost analysis. We're using market rate numbers. I think we have it's a fair budget assessment for the city. We've honed it down to using as much of what you have that is usable into the future to keep costs down. There are some things that are just so old or under capacity or of a condition that they really aren't viable for the next step. We've looked citywide. We've looked at the whole situation. That's why Plant 1 and Plant number 3 are included. So I think you're taking on a necessary thing. It's a hard step forward, but it's a necessary step forward, and you're addressing it head on. I don't see anything different occurring here than any other Illinois community is facing right now. Others are being driven by the regulatory standard more so than condition. It's variable case by case. So,
Thank you very much. That's concise to the point.
thank you.
Other discussion?
Just a few comments before we have the vote on the issue. This is the intent of this entire process is that the users of the system pay for the system, whether it's water or wastewater. And so we are proposing tonight we're not addressing anything to do with the water rate side of the house, only the wastewater side. And with in ballpark figures, depending on what your usage is, in general, a person could see a $35 to $85 per year annual increase through 2022. Now, that could double if your usage is up in the 12, 14, 16,000 gallons per billing cycle. But that 35 to 85 would capture most users up to 6,000 per billing cycle, 3,000 to 4,000 gallons per month, and that's the low side, and that is the low side. And yet the average that we use is anywhere from 6 to 12. And it's just a question of how many people live in your home and your practices. So anyway, that's the annual increase we're looking at the next 5 years or so as we ramp up here up front. And by ramping up more quickly, it allows us to have lower rates in the out years of this. If we had a more gradual incline of rates to increase the rates at a at a slower rate, then at the end of the day, your monthly rate would be, or your water rate at that point would be higher than what it would be if we take the path that we've chosen tonight, which is a 5-year ramp up and then back to our normal rate of increase. So we've talked about this quite a bit, but that's all my comments at this time. I will stress that we did have the rate adjustment 5 years ago, and we're at the point now we know the cost, we know what we're up against, and so we're ready to go on this.
Commissioner Call, go ahead.
I think Commissioner Decker wanted.
Yeah, I have things to say as well. First of all, I believe, and I could be wrong about this, I have not read the article, but I was told by somebody, the Peoria Journal-Star today reported that the rate increase, did anybody see that, what they stated the rate increase would be?
They had the rate increase listed as monthly, when the numbers that they actually printed were a scenario that I gave them that was based off of our billing cycle, which is bi-monthly.
Bi-monthly, okay.
So the increases on a monthly basis are exactly half of what was printed in the Journal-Star today, but that was based on our bi-monthly billing cycle.
And I felt it important to say that tonight, because I know if you read that article today and you saw that rate increase, you were shocked. And even though any rate increase is not a good one, it should be half of that. But a couple things I would like to say. I don't think anybody up here wants to vote yes for this. Nobody wants to increase the rates. This is not something we're doing just to keep up with times or anything else. But we've gotten to the point where our facility, there are parts of it that are over 100 years old. Is that correct, Commissioner?
1939.
1939, so very close. What sold me on this project was, if we don't do something, we will soon be mandated by the EPA. And that mandate will be at least what is stated today, but probably much more harsh than what we are looking at today. So I think it is responsible for us to make this decision. I really appreciated what the gentleman said, that our employees have been good stewards of the property, of the facility. They've really stretched it a long time. I don't think it was ever intended to last as long as it has, but they have done an excellent job. This is, and he said this as well, this is a hard but a necessary step forward. So I am going to vote yes. I do want to say one thing. Last week we had a conversation about this, and I kind of boldly stated I'll accept anything that is put in front of me. I do think the populace would rather we extend the increases as much as we can. Having said that, I think it's important for us to stand as much united as we can. I am going to support this rate increase tonight. And the reason I said that is you could increase the rates out the next 20 years, but unfortunately you would end up spending more in the long run. We could also do the entire rate increase in 1 year, but that would be very devastating to a lot of people. So I think what's in front of us tonight is responsible, and I will be supporting.
What's the average rate increase, Jeff?
The average rate
Yeah.
increase?
Over the 5 years?
No, it's per month for residents. At the beginning.
Well, it goes anywhere from a combination water sewer bill for a user of $4,000 on your water sewer bill beginning in August of this year. It would increase less than $3 a billing cycle, or per month, excuse me. If you were 6,000, you're talking $8 per billing cycle, or $4 a month, or if it was 12,000 gallons, you're looking at an increase of $8 a month, or $16 per billing cycle.
Just so people know.
The average that was used, and I'm going to assume that's what we're referring to, and this is just on the sewer side.
That's right.
We didn't use averages when we discussed a 5-year, 7-year, and then I asked about a 10-year, which was provided that evening to the council for consideration. But when running the numbers, quite honestly, I ran my own numbers, and I only wish mine was the average. The average that was used for 2017 was for the 5-year was $41.73, average monthly bill on the sewer side.
So that'd be around $6,000
Yeah.
or 6,000 gallon,
Yeah.
if that was,
So when I plugged in my numbers, I only wish they were the average, mine came out to like 53. Just to put it in perspective, what Commissioner Decker had alluded to was, it's no different than going and taking out a loan. If you pay that loan back quicker, you're gonna get a better rate. As painful as it is to do the 5-year, in 5 years, mine alone, I'm gonna see an increase of about 85.37%, which is substantial, so it's gonna be painful. If you stretch it out to 7 years, looking at a 94.89%, and if we stretch it out to 10, I'm gonna spend even more money, it's gonna cost me 98.36%. So I came back to my colleagues up here and said, although I wanted to see the 10-year, in actuality, it's gonna be all the more painful. It's gonna cost everybody more money out of pocket. So didn't make a lot of sense to go down that road. But one thing I do wanna bring up that's really bothering me, and I'm just gonna be completely honest and level with people. A week ago, the commissioner stated that under EPA regulations, we couldn't bank money. City administrator said state regulations we couldn't. I reached out to the city attorney, he wasn't aware of anything. I could find absolutely nothing. And now we got language included in tonight's packet talking about that was a misunderstanding. My whole point in bringing this up is it's very frustrating to me because everyone knew it's been coming for 10 years, yet everyone sat on their hands. And it's not just this, I'm not beating anybody up here because this city has historically done that with a lot of infrastructure stuff. You know, this stuff probably needed done 20 years ago. So it doesn't take away from the fact that it needs to be done, and the longer we put it off, the worse it's gonna be and more costly. So, but I don't appreciate that. If you're gonna speak, know what you're talking about. And I'm not trying to make it personal, but don't mislead people, and especially not me, because I've been asking for 2 years, we've been talking about this. Why can't we start putting cash aside? Well, we can't do it. Now we find out we could have done it and softened the blow. And now it's gonna be painful. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I've spoken on it before, Your Honor, it hasn't changed.
We're at a point where, yes, the information needs to be valid to the point.
Well, let me
Doesn't
ask
change
this, is
circumstances.
this something, just thinking aloud here, because the mayor asked me where I stood on it. Thursday, I stood back in the 5-year plan because we need to do it. Is there any thought process to taking a step back now that we know we can bank money and going back and taking a look at something before we pull the trigger on it?
Let me ask from Farnsworth.
Or, I mean, if everyone wants to move forward, then we
Well,
move forward.
if you put it off longer, I've got to think that construction costs aren't going to go down, material costs aren't going to go down, so
There's no money in the budget to accrue.
if we did a rate increase now, which is
Correct.
a smaller rate increase
Just
now, and
talking
bank
about
the
not
money
as
for
steep.
3 or 4 or 5 years.
I was thinking 5.
And
Just
5
to
years
soften
from
the
now,
blow.
I've got to think that costs are going to be higher in 5 years than they are today.
I think you've all come to the
That's
same,
assuming that the equipment will last 5 years.
right, you've all, I think, come to the same conclusion, is that inflation never sleeps. And the faster you tackle inflation early, the less you're going to pay in the long haul. So the spike that you've studied and come to is a common theme in addressing these kind of problems.
So
Hit
you're
it
saying
hard,
that this
hit
is-
it hard early, and the blow is less intense over time.
we need to raise our income to get the EPA permit procedure going. The timetable for that can take up to a year of approval time, and
You have to have a design in place, and then you apply for the loan. And as part of the application process with the facility plan that you're going to submit, is this financial plan showing how you're going to be able to do this? So you're showing how you're going to be able to capitalize the project over time to the EPA, and they will come up then with a low interest loan, federal funded source of money to capitalize that according to the phasing plan that you have. But they're just looking at your ability to have a positive cash flow through the whole thing. The other thing that, we're very focused on rate, there's a condition situation out there, right?
yes.
That's the driver and the urgency, it's been some time, there's stuff that's really been Band-Aided together, but you would be replacing equipment just to fix what you have now that you would not be able to carry forward in the future, kind of throwing money away type thing.
Just to comment, this is a comprehensive plan, not just for Plant 1, it's also Plant 3, it's also
Yes, sir.
everything connects in between. It's also something that has not been ignored. We've done this, my term here in the council, I've been aware of it. We've had budget issues, and I made the comment many times publicly. You either pay for it now or pay for it later. And here we are 5, 8, 10 years later, and it's time to do it. And we need the money even to pay for the engineering. We held, same principle, we held up on City Hall. We did not even pay for the design on City Hall because we're trying to figure out costs, but we couldn't get the costs until we had the engineering. And you get the cart before the horse sometimes, but I think this is where, my view, we need to proceed on, get our design, keep the process going. To procrastinate more, we're just repeating the same mistakes of the past. It will save money to move ahead with the labor units, the labor market, the interest rates, so forth. We're talking $46 to $47 million, and that doesn't include what might be 5 or 10 years out. We're getting closer, and the EPA would make more definite. From what you said, Pat, we don't know that final phase. We're not designing ourselves where we can't meet those things, but we're not proceeding on any more than we have to.
Right, we know what they're going to hit you with. We don't know how hard they're going to hit you with it.
And so all to say, I think is at this point, as much as we can just move ahead, we'll save money, we'll have certainty with the project, and our citizens will be guaranteed good service as well as our business community, which is huge. You just can't have basic services fall down around you. If we don't, we could get burned really bad here, and it'd be on our watch. I don't want that to happen.
Have you experienced EPA mandates on other municipalities?
The city of Pekin, down the river, had a pollution control board order back in 2008 or 9. That was the driver for them and their upgrades that they took on right before the recession. They completed a similar variation of what you have in front of you in 2010, but they had other conditions. They had the nutrients, they had condition, but they also had a big capacity issue. So a lot of their infrastructure couldn't be reused because it wasn't big enough. Then there was the pollution control board order with a defined date. You will be in compliance at this time on this date.
Okay. I think we had our discussion. I
Thank you.
don't want to vote for this at all. I don't think we have much choice in the matter. No matter how you talk, Commissioner, and how much you try to soft slope it, it's a bite for our citizens, it's a bite for the council, and it's just simple, but we're at that point where we don't have a whole lot of choice if we're going to have it go down when we flush. So, roll call.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Densberger?
Aye.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
Aye.
Mayor Regas?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Thank you, too, for your expertise.
Next, Mr. Mayor, companion issue. Be resolved by the Council of the City of East Peoria, Illinois, that resolution number 1617-110 hereto attached. A resolution approving an agreement with Farnsworth Group for the design of improvements to wastewater treatment plants 1 and 3, and to the Route 8 lift station be approved, and that this resolution number 1617-110 be accepted on its first reading as read by its title and be laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection.
Second, please.
Second.
Commissioner Decker.
Thank you, Commissioner Decker. We have worked with Farnsworth for 20 years, Steve.
At least that long? 20?
And this is an agreement with them to complete the engineering package for this comprehensive plan. It's the entire plan. And we've had working sessions, et cetera. So this is needed in order to move this project along.
Other discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Densberger?
Aye.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
Aye.
Mayor Mingus?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you.
And last, Mr. Mayor, I have an item that's related to the wastewater department. Be it resolved by the council of the city of East Peoria, Illinois, that resolution number 1617-109 hereto attached. A resolution approving a proposal by Hare Construction, Inc. to slip line various sanitary sewer mains in the city in the amount of $69,397 be approved. And that this resolution number 1617-109 be accepted on its first reading as read by its title and be laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection.
Second, please.
Second.
Commissioner Densberger?
Thank you, Commissioner Densberger. It's been a while since we've approved a slip lining contract, although maybe not that long ago, but what this does is allow them to, as the name infers, to put lining into existing sanitary sewer piping and different methods, but basically put a catalyst and it hardens and gives you a new lining inside, and it actually helps, it actually prevents the influx of outside water seepage into our lines. We get a lot of the old lines, the old clay lines especially. And by doing this, it gives us another life on our sewer lines without having to excavate, dig up. We can do it for, I think, 1/3 the cost of new or less. And it actually helps the efficiency of our plant. We're not just taking in groundwater into our system, into our plant. And that's an issue that we've been dealing with for years. As we've had funds, we've earmarked them, and this is a great money payback. And for the areas, it prevents backups, and that lets you just take what you need to take and not all this extra flow. So this is a good thing for the particular neighborhood that we're doing this for as well.
Other discussion?
Yeah, the only question I have, it says there was 2 bids received. I know Hare was a low bid, and they're getting awarded the contract. Who was the other one?
J.C. Dillon.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, Dillon has a little different process as
It's a
well.
little bit different process. It is a UV cured process instead of a
Hot water
steam.
Okay, roll call, please.
Thanks.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Densberger?
Aye.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
Aye.
Mayor Mingus?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you.
That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Call.
Mr. Mayor, I have 3 items this evening. Mr. Mayor, I move you that resolution number 16, let's see, yep. Is this correct? 1617-111, wanted to make sure I had it in order. Mr. Mayor, I move you that resolution number 1617-111 be adopted as presented, but I have to read it in length, unfortunately. So y'all have to bear with me. Resolution authorizing temporary increase in the number of firefighters on the East Peoria Fire Department. Whereas Title I, Chapter 5, Section 2.1 of the East Peoria City Code authorizes the City Council to determine from time to time by resolution the number of individuals to hold each rank on the fire department, and whereas one of the lieutenants has verbally informed the city of his pending retirement from the East Peoria Fire Department effective on or before May 15, 2017, and whereas the East Peoria Fire Department would like to begin the hiring process as soon as possible so that the new probationary firefighter may attend the upcoming fire academy in March. Whereas it is in the best interests of the city of East Peoria to temporarily increase the total number of individuals holding the rank of firefighter on the East Peoria Fire Department from 30 to 31, and whereas it is in the best interests of the city that after the lieutenant's retirement, the city of East Peoria decrease the total number of individuals holding the rank of firefighter on the East Peoria Fire Department from 31 to 30. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of East Peoria, Illinois, East Peoria, Tazewell County, Illinois, that Section 1, effective immediately, the Fire Department of the City of East Peoria shall consist of the following personnel. A, 1 fire chief. B, 1 deputy fire chief. C, 3 assistant fire chiefs. D, 9 lieutenants. E, 31 firefighters. F, 1 paid on-call firefighter. Section 2, the fire chief is hereby authorized and directed to notify the Police and Fire Commission of the temporary increase in firefighters and to request the Police and Fire Commission to undertake the process of appointing a probationary firefighter to fill the position hereby created. Section 3, effective on the retirement of the lieutenant, the fire department of the city of East Peoria shall consist of the following personnel. A, 1 fire chief. B, 1 deputy fire chief. C, 3 assistant fire chiefs. D, 9 lieutenants. E, 30 firefighters. And F, 1 paid on-call firefighter. So, Mr. Mayor, I move you that resolution number 1617-111 be adopted as presented.
Second, please.
Second.
Mr. Densberger.
Thank you, Commissioner Densberger. So that was a lot of words about a lot you didn't understand. So Lieutenant Akers has verbally announced his pending retirement. The effective date would be May 15, 2017. And for those that aren't aware, Fire Academy falls twice a year. So in order to bring up the personnel in between that time frame, we got a March Academy, and then the other one's not until fall, correct? September. So, yeah, so basically, the goal here is to hire a probationary firefighter, get them into the academy in March. That way, we'll be up to full manpower after the lieutenant's retirement. And then, at which time, when he does retire, then we move it back down to 30.
And you're going to abstain?
I am, Mayor. Just, I don't see how this could affect me personally. As everybody knows, I'm on the fire department. I was sitting here thinking about it, but just, I don't know, out of abundance of caution, I am going to abstain.
All right.
Just a question, what if we didn't do this?
Overtime.
Well, if we didn't hire right now and we waited until Billy retired, which
I mean,
would be-
6 months, I mean, you couldn't get him in until September for the,
Well, we would be short that entire time, so we'd be paying overtime for that entire amount of time.
and we're paying salary too,
Correct.
till Mr. Akers is retired.
Right, you're paying probationary salary for 2 to 3 months, and then when he does retire, it should work out to where when he graduates from the academy, we should have them go straight on to overtime, or straight on to the fire department as paid personnel. It's like $750 a day is what it costs us for an overtime day. So that's at the overtime rate if we would have to pay that, so.
He's given us
I mean,
official
we could wait, but I approached both Mr. Eater and Mr. Call and explained to him, and I think it's prudent to do it earlier. It's between 3 to 6 months before we can actually count somebody as manpower. So to be proactive in this manner, I wish everybody would let us know when they're gonna retire earlier, but unfortunately it doesn't happen. So it worked out in our favor that he let us know he was leaving in May 15th. So it's nice to be able to have that person up, trained, ready to go, so that when he does leave, we've got his replacement right in place instead of having to play catch-up afterwards.
And come May, we'll revert to current
Correct.
staffing levels.
Correct, and that's
Correct.
what's stated in here.
Yeah, if it wasn't for, if the timing was such that, if it was reversed, if he was leaving in February and the academy was in May, I would say let's wait until May. Unfortunately, it's completely reversed, so.
Other discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Decker?
Abstain.
Densberger?
Aye.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
Aye.
Mayor Regas?
Aye.
4 ayes, 1 abstention, Your Honor.
Thank you very much.
And next, Your Honor, I have resolution number 1617-117. And sorry to do this, but I have to read this in length as well. It's a resolution authorizing the city of East Peoria to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the city of Peoria pertaining to the body worn camera policy and implementation program. Whereas Article 7, Section 10 of the Constitution of Illinois 1970 and the Intergovernmental Cooperation Act 5 ILCS 221 authorizes units of local government to enter into intergovernmental agreements, and whereas participation of the East Peoria Police Department in the body work camera policy and implementation, thanks Morgan, program will benefit the public, enhance community relationships, and serve as an aid in law enforcement and prosecutorial, man, I'm having a tough time, efforts. And whereas the Peoria Police Department and the East Peoria Police Department are partnering on this project for purposes of economics, of scale through procurement of a single brand camera, shared digital evidence storage, and policy development. And whereas responsibility for the implementation and operational procedures of this program in compliance with state and federal law shall fall to each individual agency. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Council of the City of East Peoria, Illinois, Tazewell County, Illinois, that Section 1, the above recitations, are found to be true and correct. Section 2, the mayor and the city clerk are authorized and directed to execute and enter into the intergovernmental agreement with the City of Peoria, Exhibit A, for the body-worn camera policy and implementation program, together with such changes therein as the mayor in his discretion deems appropriate. Provided, however, the City of East Peoria shall have no obligation under the agreement until such time as an executed original of such documentation has been delivered to the Peoria Police Department. Mr. Mayor, I move you that resolution number 1617-117 be adopted as presented.
Second, please.
Second.
Commissioner Densberger.
Man, I'm sorry I struggled on that one.
You did fine.
So, long story short, I'm going to turn it over to the chief to give the expert explanation. The city of Peoria agrees to provide East Peoria a dollar amount of $76,625.50. East Peoria has an actual match amount of $13,498.53. And it's a regional, quite honestly, it's a regional thing with multiple departments included. So, Chief, do you mind?
Thank you, Commissioner. Just a couple of weeks ago, just a few short days ago, the Peoria Police Department contacted me and wanted to meet and see if we would be interested in partnering with them and several other agencies on the Peoria side of the river to enter into a grant for body-worn cameras. So they met with myself and my staff and Mr. Eder and laid out the program to us, and we have been scrambling, and I mean scrambling, the last few days to try to put this together. Very simply, for an amount of $13,000, we're able to get into a program that if we were to wait would be probably very many multiples of that. The fact of the matter is $13,000, for that we're getting 45 body cameras, all the storage, which is being handled by Peoria PD. $13,000 would not in the future buy us half of the amount of body cameras that we need. It simply, it seems to present an opportunity for our department to get into a body-worn camera program, one of the first departments on this side of the river to do so, in probably the most fiscally responsible manner. The state passed a law January 1st of 2016, which mandates the handling of body-worn camera footage, and it's a fairly complicated law. It stopped short at that time of mandating body-worn cameras, but is the common thought throughout the law enforcement community that either on a state or federal level, that is not going to be far behind. I would prefer very much so to be out in front of the issue instead of following the issue. And this presents an excellent opportunity to do that. Like I said, with Peoria PD, Peoria County, nearly every department on the Peoria side of the river. Body-worn cameras have shown already in their brief history the same potential that in-car video did 2 or 3 decades ago. And that is, it almost always shows, proper actions on the part of the police. They've been indispensable in prosecutions of various types of crimes. And there's no reason to believe that body-worn cameras don't show the same potential to help in prosecutions and also help police officers themselves on a personal and professional level. I don't think there's anything more important to a police department than its integrity. And as a result of that, nothing more important to a community than the integrity of its police department. Body-worn cameras provide us with a next level of transparency for our citizens, transparency for the thousands of people that come through this city on a daily basis. And while I am supremely confident in my officers and the way they handle themselves, I do believe that Body-worn camera footage will do nothing but reinforce that. However, should there be that rare instance where there is some sort of misconduct, then so be it. And if it shows that misconduct, that will assist us in dealing with it on a more timely and a better basis. So I think it is a winning scenario all the way around when you look at it from any angle you want to look at it from.
And that's well said. I mean, it not just protects the police department and city, but citizens, visitors alike. This, basically, we're looking probably at close to 2018 anyway before this becomes a
Right.
reality, correct?
The timeframe of the grant appears that there could be grant awards sometime this summer. We will not have to pay our share of the money until it looks like, if the grant is approved, not until possibly October of this year. And then there will be a several-month period of time before actual implementation occurs. So we may actually be into not this 18-19 or 17-18 fiscal year, but 18-19 fiscal year before the program may be actually implemented to its full state. If I could say one more important thing, as a part of the grant application, we were required to partner with either an organization or group of people in the community to help assist us and partner with us in this endeavor. And so I made a quick call to our friends down in the Richland area, the Richland neighborhood area, who have done such a great job in the last few months of getting their community together and working hard on improving their committee or their community. And we've been very fortunate to meet with them several times. I know, Commissioner Call, you've been at several of their meetings also. And so we're very, very proud to be partnering with the Richland area Neighborhood Committee and look forward to their partnership in helping us implement this grant. And like I said, everything is contingent on the grant. There is no guarantee whatsoever that this will be approved, but we certainly hope it moves forward.
Yeah, basically, we're making our commitment tonight.
Thanks for the hustle, too. It took extra effort from the department, the legal department. Great job. Thanks to Peoria for offering us the opportunity.
When the chief reached out to me about this, I guess it's been about a month ago, the first time, it's a fiscal win for the city. It's a performance win for the police department, and the prosecutors win, and the citizens may feel better protected. So I honestly can't imagine a downside to this.
Is it true, Chief, that probably the most expensive part of body cameras is not so much the camera, but the storage of that information?
Video storage of this kind and the magnitude that the state law requires it takes just numerous terabytes of storage to store video information. Most of the footage is kept for at least 90 days, but if there's a prosecution involved, a complaint involved, this video could be stored for 2 years. So there is, a continual storage situation. We are really extremely fortunate that Peoria PD has that infrastructure already built, and we are just basically being able to piggyback onto their system that they already have built. And it looks so promising that we are considering changing our in-car cameras in our cars and beginning to use cameras that are compatible, because they've offered to allow us to use that storage system for our in-car cameras too going forward.
Great partnership. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Densberger?
Aye.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
Hi.
Mayor Mingus?
Aye.
All present, voting aye.
Sorry.
Okay. Next, my last agenda item. Be it resolved by the Council of the City of East Peoria, Illinois, that resolution number 1617-114, hereto attached, a resolution authorizing payment of $7,541.25 to Tazewell County ETSB for the purchase and installation of a logging recorder for dispatch from Nelson Systems Incorporated be approved and that this resolution number 1617-114 be accepted on its first reading as read by its title and be laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection.
Second, please.
Second.
Commissioner Decker?
Thank you, Commissioner Decker. So I'm going to throw this back on the police chief's lap in a second. Basically, the Tazewell County ETSB purchased the new logging recorder, and let me find it here, in the amount of $15,082.50, and the city is going to pay half of that cost. My understanding is ours went out in about 3 years ago, I guess, and we've
Yes.
been renting one.
Right, actually, the
And it's
ETSB.
turned out to be fairly costly.
Yeah, it is about some $350 a month. The ETSB has been paying that bill for some time now. And we agreed with them as we were doing the budget last year that this would be the year they could purchase that recorder and we would pay half. We actually budgeted $9,000 for it, and it came in a little bit cheaper than that at $7,541. But it's an absolute critical piece of equipment in dispatch. It is the item that records every incoming call. It records all our radio traffic between our cars and the dispatchers. It is used repeatedly every day. It's used for prosecutions, but it's used mostly, honestly, for dispatchers who are taking a frantic 911 call. They can sit and then they can repeatedly replay that to themselves so they get the details correct, they get the address correct, and they know what information to pass on the cars. So, and it's a piece of equipment that, should consolidation go through, that can go on to the next center.
Thanks, Chief.
Other discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Densberger?
Aye.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
Aye.
Mayor Regis?
Aye.
All present by name.
Thank you
All I
very
have, sir.
much. Thank you very much. Comments from the audience on a non-agenda item come forward? Seeing no one come forward, comments from commissioners. Commissioner Decker?
I have two things, Mayor. First of all, I wanted to announce that tonight we were live on 3 different sites: the city's Facebook page, Eastside Television's Facebook page, and YouTube. Hopefully soon we will be live on, I think, the website for Eastside Television, but it's nice to have that accomplished first. Finally, I got this information a couple weeks ago, and I've been saving it until a council meeting to talk about it. It's good news, and I just wanted to share, and I'd like to invite at least one, maybe a couple of these groups here a little bit later. I'll get to that in a second. But in East Peoria, we have a few groups that are part of the Lego League Robotics, and kids like me, I never heard about something like that. And these are very intelligent, driven kids who get into this league, do a lot of really great things. We have 4 teams in East Peoria: Bolin Builders, Bricks Awaken, and Thinkinators, and then we have one more named Mindstorm Madness. The 3, Bolin Builders, Bricks Awaken, and Thinkinators, all took first place for robotics performance, and all three of them did in the Lego League regional qualifiers on December 10th. They were also grand champions of that tournament. The other team, the Mindstorm Madness, had a very good showing at the qualifiers. They finished 4th in robot performance and enthusiastic. They showed, I guess, a lot of enthusiastic teamwork, so they were mentioned there. But here's a really cool thing. They went on to state, and all 3 went to the state tournament on January 28th at the U of I. And up until then, up until January 28th, no East Peoria team had ever come home with the first place. That day, 2 of them came home with the first place. Bolin Builders, I'll get that right before the night's over, had the highest robot table score out of the 64 champion teams and received the first place trophy. And Thinkinators received first place Ambassadors Award. But here's a really cool thing. Of all of those, the Thinkinators are going to represent Illinois in the World's Festival in St. Louis. This is the first East Peoria team and the second Central Illinois team to have that honor. They'll compete, I believe it's, excuse me, they'll compete with 107 teams from all over the world, and that will be April 26th through the 29th. So with your permission, I'd like to ask them to come in after that so we can recognize them. Some of these kids that are part of this were also part of the cleanup crew that helped Bob, the green team, after the 4th of July festivities. So these are really good kids, already part of the community, and it's something special for them to get this far, and who knows what all they'll be able to accomplish.
Very proud of them. And the parents. Commissioner Densberger.
Equally wonderful news, Your Honor. We'll have our second budget session Monday, the 13th. Mr. Eder, what departments are up on Monday? I don't have my schedule.
Monday, we've got police, fire, east side, community development. And if we have time, we'll do the administrative.
And we start at 4 o'clock.
We start at 4 o'clock, and then on the 28th, we'll wrap up.
Great.
Very good. Mr. Jeffers.
A couple of comments, about the body cameras. I think, I know, Chief, you mentioned that maybe some may view it as a defensive item to have, that we protects our officers from accusations and so forth. It really makes a record of that. I guess, and I know Commissioner Dinsberger mentioned the idea of prosecution. It helps really, in my view, it really seals the deal for prosecution. I don't know if it's been kind of stats or what's been proven or not, but I would think if your potential criminal knows that you've got a camera seeing everything he's doing, maybe that would be a deterrent as well on their behavior. Hopefully, that's also a plus. So I see that as a protection for our people and allow us to do as collectively you do your job and have a better evidence if that's what it takes to do it. You know, we see all sorts of things on television and from phones people take, and you don't always get the real story. And so I think it's a great thing. Also, change gears altogether. The annual Historical Society, or the annual chili supper for the East Peoria Historical Society is the 24th of February. It's prior to a basketball game. It's at the East Peoria High School cafeteria between 4:30 and 7. It's for a very nice price, $5. Chili supper, Historical Society, the 24th of February, so at the high school. It's a great time, great people to see and support them. This is a little bit of it's a fundraiser for them. They don't have a big budget, but they appreciate your attendance, and bring the family out, take a night off from cooking, and enjoy the basketball game if you want to go. So that's all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Call.
Yeah, just a comment. It's going back into the wastewater treatment plant. I don't want anyone to misunderstand my criticism of some things that were said that were inaccurate. It doesn't negate the fact that there's not one person up here that didn't want to do it, but it's a necessary evil. It needed to be done, quite honestly, a long time ago. It's overdue. Nobody can argue that. So as painful as it was, I think it's important for people to understand that it's a necessity. And quite honestly, I hope we as a city have learned a lesson of some things that we can do forward thinking and have some better plans in place. Nothing lasts forever, so that's all.
Very good. Motion to adjourn, please.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adjourn until Monday evening, February 13th, 2017 at 4 p.m.
Now
Second.
we'll go for Commissioner Call. Roll call.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Densberger?
Aye.
Jeffers?
Aye.
Call?
Aye.
Mayor Vegas?
Aye.
All present video, Your Honor.
Thank you. Thank you, Cub Scouts, for sticking through. Keith, you didn't appreciate being here.